Hello, everyone. I wanted to talk today about different types of psychic readings and how there are so many different ways that people can be psychic. First of all, the word psychic I've heard being used to to mean people who make predictions. I've heard people who read energy saying that they're an energy reader and they're not a psychic because they don't predict the future. And in my opinion, that's not really what psychic means. If you look up the actual word in the dictionary, it means of the psyche or being able to tap into abilities that other people don't necessarily have, even though I think on some level everyone does. But regardless, if you look up the word psychic in the dictionary, it doesn't matter if you predict the future or whatever to be a psychic. And so I don't in particular focus on future predictions, although sometimes it does come up. Um, but what I really want to talk about here is the different types of psychics out there. For example, there are some people who do remote viewing, and that's usually not what you would get if you go to a reading. Um, and remote viewing is where you can see something in detail that happened like exactly as it is for the most part. Sometimes it's not always exact, but the idea is that you're going for the exact thing, and that's used in a lot of like military type of situations where the government has actually sponsored programs to do that. And you can look that up yourself. It's public information. People don't talk about it too much, but it was a program that went on for a while. um, the other types of what I've been noticing from a lot of other types of readings is they really just kind of talk about like what's gonna potentially happen in your future, and that's cool. But I wanted to contrast that more with the type of reading that I do, where it's more about tapping into your spirit. For example, there's where your body is, where you are within this incarnation, within this lifetime, how things are going for you, like physically, um, what you would call your day to day life. And then obviously you already know that for the most part. So instead of focusing on that and trying to say, like, oh, well, maybe in the future you're going to be here doing this thing, maybe you'll have this job like this or that. It's like that can be helpful on some level. But I feel like what's really more helpful is seeing the underlying patterns within that. And so that's why the types of readings where I do focus more on the spirit and seeing how they can be connected. For example, how they're out of alignment or in alignment. Like, what does your spirit want from your body? Because your spirit wants to be in your body because your spirit took on this lifetime to be here, to be in your body. And so to bring them more into alignment is really the focus of my readings. It's not so much about, you know, being like, oh, you're going to be doing this job in the future, or this relationship will or won't work out. That's kind of, I don't really care to get into that as much as finding the patterns, like the patterns that may cause that. Instead of saying you might be over here in the future, or say something bad happens and they're like, okay, this bad thing's going to happen at this specific place. So then you go about it trying to avoid that specific place. And it's like, sure, you might make it not happen in that exact way, but that pattern is still going to affect you in some other way. And so instead of focusing on like the particular instances of a situation, why not focus on the actual energy that's getting you there? And that's more what I focus on, which is more so symbolic, because this, you could say that the spirit is well, some people will say it speaks more through symbols than it does through being like exactly literal, although it can come across all sorts of ways. It depends. You can hear things in your mind through words or whatever. But generally speaking, like when you talk to a psychologist, they will say that the subconscious mind works through images and symbols. And so that's more what I focus on, or that's more how I see things when I read things. And so there is a literalness to it, but it's usually, if it is literal, then it is also symbolic. And if it's not literal, then it's just symbolic. And so the point of that is, like what I said, the patterns. You could call it karma, but it's not really necessarily karma. It's just like the energy that you've taken on. This could be from other people, or even other types of energies that are like living through you or within you, or even just the energetic patterns you've set in place for yourself. And so through these readings, a lot of the times I will help identify where these types of energetic behaviors or patterns affecting your life, where they're coming from, and I can help move some of that energy out or get the energy in movement. Even just talking about it is very helpful. So I guess the difference between what I do and a lot of psychics do is, I think what I do is more therapeutic, because it's really delving into, like what I'm saying, the patterns and like the core of where everything's kind of coming from. And so if you want somebody who's going to predict your future, that's really not me. Sure, I can kind of look into that, but that's not really what I do in particular. Um, I do look at relationships, and instead of like focusing on what's going to happen in the future, like on a specific day, what year, and like how exactly is that going to happen, instead of that, I look more at like the energy dynamic, like what is the dynamic between people, or what is the dynamic of somebody's life, or how is their life working out for them, what is working for them and what is not working out for them in the context of these types of energies that they carry around that live through them. For example, somebody could say something to you and you take that on, or like you take their opinion on, or they program you in some way, and that affects you. And that's more important to look at, in my opinion, because it's the actual underlying cause of what makes these things go into motion. And so if you can really identify the core, I think that you're really able to connect with your spirit more, really able to align with your spirit more, and your spirit is able to come more into your body, into this lifetime, in the way that it wants to, as opposed to being pushed around by all the other influence of other people, other energies, even other energy beings who affect you all the time. So, yeah, I just wanted to explain that. Yeah, I've just noticed there's all types of different ways people read. There's also people who do more of the aura reading, focused more. I do aura readings, but it's not so focused on the colors specifically. It's more focused on like the symbols, although the colors are part of it. But there are other people who really just describe the colors, and that's what they do, and they kind of tell you what the colors represent, and that's another way of doing it, and that's cool. But the way I do it is really by looking at seeing a color vibration that usually comes up. Sometimes I don't even mention it because it's not really what's necessarily important that's coming up. it's more the patterns, the types of energy within that layer of the aura or within that area of a chakra or whatever it is that I'm looking at, or just within a question they're asking. So, anyways, if you would like to do a reading with me, you can always check out my website, psychictai.yolasite.com. Currently, I'm doing free readings for your first reading only, and then after that, they're normally $50. But I was doing a discount on that so that it's only $30, and I'm gonna keep that going, even though the shutdown's kind of sort of ending. It's still going on. I'm just gonna keep that going for a while, I think. So I hope to see you at a reading sometime, for a free one at least. Have a great day.